Welcome back, Wizard. Why don't you tell us about your round 2 submission?
Hello again, Guardian. Thank you. I will do. So this time around, the challenge was a little bit nearer to my experience. So we were tasked with using Mirage cards, which I actually did play with, unlike the later set of the pre-modern cards that I was less familiar with last time around. So I had some working knowledge of the set to draw on, although I certainly still had to go through the spoiler and look through, what I might have forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the cards from back in the day that I remember being really excited about in Mirage, like Grinning Totem, are not actually that exciting anymore. But so I went down a number of different avenues before I kind of settled on something. The first one that really drew me was Cadaver's Bloom, which of course was a popular combo engine a long time ago, and I had this idea, which actually, having now watched one of the other videos with Brian Manolakis, he had the similar idea of combining that with Lich, and so I started brewing a Lich, Cadaver's Bloom, Eureka kind of pile, but then I found that there was no room to actually win the game once you put all those cards in the deck. It didn't really go anywhere, and I tried goldfishing a few times, and it was just too janky. I mean, funny idea, but I wanted something that was at least capable of winning a game. And so then I went down a couple of other avenues. I explored a Sylvan Library Tax Tower deck with some of the tutors, Mystical Tutor and Enlightened Tutor, and that actually I think probably would be pretty competitive because getting the extra shuffles out of Sylvan Library and then Tax Tower, obviously very powerful. Felt not really spicy. Kind of like a Randy Bueller's deck from last summer that sort of won the Winter Derby.
Yeah, just with some upgrades, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. With some additional shuffle effects but in a single Tormod's Crypt is the only win condition. But I also I didn't really want to subject everybody to having to watch a match involving that deck either. So then I settled on what I was really excited about, which was a Foratog deck. So I started building around basically a mono green deck with Foratogs, Berserks, and Rampant Growth to tutor up some extra forests, along with the Legends one that does basically the same thing. Can't think of the name of it now. Untamed Wilds.
Yeah.
So I had 4 copies of each of those to get all my forests into play, and then unfortunately I spent quite a bit of time really tinkering with this Foratog deck and kind of goldfishing a few times, and then I decided to actually read the text of Foratog and found out that you must pay green mana and sacrifice a forest, not merely sacrifice a forest to give it +2/+2. So I immediately had to throw that deck away and start over. So at that point, I kind of I liked the idea with the tutors, and I also sort of had set a constraint on myself of I wanted to play with cards I actually had. So I went through my box of Mirage cards and found what I already had access to and kind of used that as somewhat of a guideline for what I was going to do. Sure. So I figured a fun thing to do would be to tutor up some Chaos Orbs and put a Guardian Beast in play and see if I could do a little bit of a beast control that would be more reliable to get the Chaos Orb out and not have to depend on Transmute Artifact, which is harder to use. So I only had 2 copies of Enlightened Tutor, so that's why there's only 2 Enlightened Tutors in the deck. And to get in the Chaos Orb, and then I threw in a couple Mystical Tutors to get your Disenchant or your Balance or whatever you might happen to need, or obviously Ancestral. But yeah, mostly it's a Chaos Orb Guardian Beast deck. But I figured, if I'm doing that, I should probably have some other game plan rather than just, I need some way to win at least, right? And if I've got Guardian Beast already, it might as well be an artifact plan. So I thought of Millstone. And then once I had the Millstone in the mix, that's how I came to the Memory Lapse as kind of the other Mirage card, because I figured I needed some control elements. Beyond just the removal, and being able to Memory Lapse somebody and then Millstone away whatever they just cast seemed pretty exciting. As an alternative, I could also Memory Lapse, and then if I have the Chaos Orb out, maybe I'll be able to take away the color of mana they needed to cast the thing in the first place or something like that. So there's some other kind of edge cases where the Memory Lapse might benefit from more than just the Millstone. This is probably not the world's greatest Memory Lapse deck, but it seemed like it it kind of fit, at least
Yeah.
generally. And I wanted to try to use a few more Mirage cards, not just the tutors, right? So
Sure, yeah.
that's kind of how I came up with it.
Yeah, no, those are very noble reasons for choosing the cards you play. It's what you had in your collection, so it feels very 1994.
Well, I had the 4 talks, but they're not doing me any good,
Yeah, unfortunately. I guess you know who your opponent is.
Actually, yes, that's a good point. So since I'm playing against Jonnie, I had to consider knowing that he's got, well, of course, I don't know what his second deck is, but I know that his pre-modern deck is his book tribal, deck that's going to draw a million cards and universe me or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So I figured I should have access to artifact removal in the main deck. I'm actually forgetting what's in my Enchantress deck in terms of that, but I know that I have Underworld Dreams, my main win con of that one, so I actually felt pretty good about that because that's pretty good against a bunch of books.
Sure.
But yeah, that also factored in here. I knew I couldn't just run something that had no way to remove an early metalworker or whatever that was just crush me. So hopefully a couple disenchants and a couple tutors to get those disenchants can do the job.
Sure. Yeah. So I really don't know. I know what deck he sent me, right? But I don't want to give it away, obviously. But I feel like you're often in like a weird place in this kind of moment because you there's some information and there's some information you don't, and you're sort of having to guess based on like what do you know about Jonnie and what do you think he might bring and all those sorts of questions. And so I don't know, what do you think your chances are? Like how do you think you're going to fare in this just in general?
So, well, I would say that Chaos Orb removes everything as long as I can reliably flip it. And although, admittedly, I'm not the best Chaos Orb flipper, but we'll see.
Well, the Guardian Beast helps.
Hopefully, the Guardian Beast helps. Yeah, worst case, it just sits there tapped and embarrasses me. So yeah, I mean, there's some out to whatever he might be bringing. At least I've got 5+ copies of Chaos Orb to bring against that, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that book tribal deck looks pretty strong. I think the Enchantress deck can race it, and hopefully the Underworld Dreams, is a suitable sort of main deck answer to that game plan. But and I think this deck is probably a little slower. So if he gets a fast start, that could be tricky. But if I'm able to find the right removal, I think I've got a chance to slow him down and then start locking him out. So yeah, I think I've got a decent shot. But yeah, I have no clue, no postulation about what the other the Mirage deck might bring. So we'll be excited to see.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we can kind of close this down, and yeah, good luck in the voting process and also in the match. I think it's they've been pretty exciting to watch actually. I like the weird kind of mixture of decks that we're seeing and just the different cards and everything. It's I think it really goes to show like when people go into these kind of brewing type spaces that you really see kind of what people care about in the decks that they play, it's just interesting to just see how different everybody is and what they tend to favor and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I've enjoyed looking at your decks. They're all they're definitely very interesting concoctions,
Well, and I've been interested to see as well where there's been many similar threads, right? Like several people have come up with similar ideas, and even though there's a large space and there's nothing, and we're not talking to each other, there's nothing defined at the time. There's a lot of things you could do, and we do. There has been some consistency in what at least a few people have arrived at. So I found that to be pretty interesting as well. Yeah. But yeah, choosing which deck to play first. I mean, I guess I won't overthink it, but there's definitely an important decision to be made there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah. Again, good luck, and yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you, Guardian.
Thanks. Welcome back, Wizard. Tell us about your round 2 submission.
Thank you. Yeah, Mirage. What a nice surprise and a nice set. I mean, for me, Mirage was like that nice point between Alliances and Mirage where I actually sort of it clicked for me, the game, like, okay, big creatures are not the best in the game, and the mechanics and stuff. So played a lot of Mirage. So yeah, this was really, really nice. My first thought was to actually try to do something flavorful and do something with phasing or like another mechanic. But unfortunately, things that phase in and out does not enter the battlefield, so no triggers are. Yeah.
Sure.
So couldn't go that route. I had a few other ideas as well, where one was so sweet until I actually read the errata of the card, or actually read the correct wording of the card. There's a card in Mirage that's called Energy Vortex.
Okay.
I don't know if you know it. It's a blue card for like 2 blue and 3, and it says on the card, like, for every counter on that card, you pay X to put counters on it. And for every counter, your opponent during his upkeep needs to pay 1 mana, or he gets 3 damage.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Until I actually realized that it was 3 damage only. That's a flat 3 damage if he doesn't pay all for all the counters. Yeah, so it's a maximum 3. Otherwise, I would have been able to do the Energy Flux, Mana Vortex, Energy Vortex deck, which is obviously cool just because of the names. But yeah, so that's not what I ended up with. I ended up with a Reanimator deck. Because, yeah, I found this card, Shallow Grave. I actually somehow forgot about that. I mean, looks like a really, really powerful animate dead. And since the creatures don't remain in play, you don't have to care about upkeep costs and stuff like that. So naturally, the Elder Dragons was really high on the list to animate, and also like Lord Pit.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Also, like you've got a few other cards in here, right? Like you've got Mystical Tutor to make sure that you can go and probably get some of these Shallow Graves, I assume, right?
Oh yeah, that's the main target for Tutor, definitely.
Yeah, I've played a handful of old school Reanimator decks, and one thing I always feel like happens is you have all these All Hallows Eves in your deck, but you maybe don't want all of them. So this is actually great because you can just have the one like you have, and Mystical Tutor for it when you feel like you actually need it, right? It's pretty great. Yeah.
I mean that game plan at least, and also the card Unfulfilled Desires looks really good when you want to put stuff in the graveyard and dig for those Shallow Graves.
Yeah, that's a card I forgot about actually. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable enchantment.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, like the other rounds, Fast Bond seems to be a really popular card here in the Brewmaster Challenge.
Yeah, sure.
I think only way to get away with running 4 Bazaar of Baghdad and the Diamond Valley, which doesn't get me mana, is I need the Fast Bomb to not have the Bazaar take a land drop from me, I guess.
Sure. So I'm just kind of thinking through some of the more intricate pieces of how this works. So for example, I'd have to look up the current text on Shallow Grave, but I'm assuming it's still at least very similar to what this says. So if you sacrifice the reanimated creature to Diamond Valley, does it go back to your graveyard?
Oh yes, it does.
Oh, that's great. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So I was about to add more Diamond Valleys, but I'm afraid of one thing, and that's actually after seeing Jonas and Manos match when Jonas deployed his Bazaar of Baghdad. And I feel like there's a big chance that you just run out of cards.
Sure, yeah, that's certainly a possibility. Yeah, I know when I've played Reanimator strategies, it's often been you kind of have 2 directions to go. You're either like trying to assemble this like hand that does kind of exactly what you want, or you're sort of like all in and you're just like dumping a lot of stuff to your graveyard, and you basically have no hand, right? So you're in one of those 2 situations usually, and I feel like Bazaar pushes you towards the side where you just don't have a hand, right? So it's worked out well.
I mean, it also makes like Shallow Grave is good, but it also feels like yeah, I can tutor for them, but if I accidentally place some in my graveyard, I need recall. But recall when you have most of the time an empty hand is pretty hard. So yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's always a tricky archetype to build in Old School, I think. But I think a lot of the cards that you grab from Mirage actually help it quite a bit. You're less worried about having a threat that can stick around, and more worried about just getting in the damage from those huge, more ridiculous creatures, right? So it's very cool.
I was also really tempted. This red dragon in Mirage that you can tap and tutor for another dragon and put it into play, which would have been cool. I was like an all-in dragon reanimator deck would just get the first dragon or animate that red dragon to get other dragons. But turns out it has an activation cost of red 1, which is pretty hard.
A little rough, yeah. Well, that's very cool. So yeah, I mean, given sort of what you know about Eliot's first round deck and maybe what Eliot tends to be prone to playing, I don't know, what do you think your chances are in this game match and in the voting? I mean, there's a lot of pieces, moving parts to this round, right? So what are your thoughts? What do you think your chances are, and how do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I think the voting is totally open, because I know Eliot brews really spicy brews. Not only during Brewmaster Challenge, but also on actual tournaments. So that's cool. And I think looking at our first round decks, both of us, I think we both build combo decks that has sort of almost no answers for what the other person does. So I mean, it's a race to whoever gets his combo going first, I guess.
I was looking at your decks beforehand, and I thought to myself, Eliot does not have that many ways to kill a metal worker, right?
No.
So that's probably in your favor, right?
But I have no ways to kill his enchantress or
exactly.
Yeah, it's just throwing from the top, or
it'll be interesting to watch, I think.
But I'm really curious about what it's gonna do with the Mirage, because I mean, the two tutors obviously enables a lot of different strategies.
I mean, Mystical Tutor, I think, is probably going to be the card that gets played the most, because it opens up a lot of stuff. And I assume the other tutor you're talking about is Enlightened Tutor. I think that one's probably a pretty close second overall for just general usability in the format, right? I mean, they're both pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think had Eliot not gone for Underworld Dreams in his first build, he might have. Then I would have sort of suspected that he would have gone like Enlightened Tutor, Underworld Dreams here.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, you never know. Maybe that is what he's doing. I could see that. That's interesting. Yeah, because I guess you're really always you want to be able to find those Underworld Dreams, right? And
exactly. That's the main problem with that deck. So.
Yeah, or find, I guess, both the tutors.
Draw 7s.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can run all 8 tutors in an Underworld Dreams deck, which is actually really good, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I had not thought about that. That's interesting. All right. Well, very cool. Any other closing thoughts you might have that you want to add before we close this?
No, I think I'm just getting prepared to fight.
Yeah, prepared to fight. Yes. Yeah, we're about, for your video, we're actually about to play the match. So this is right before we play. So, yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, good luck in the voting, and also good luck in the match that's about to start here.
Thank you so much, and please vote.
Yes, vote.
I'm here. My name is Mike. I'm joined by Chris Mason.
What's going on, everybody?
Checking out. This match is Eliot versus Jonnie, and they've got. Looks like they're rolling to see who's going to go first, and I think they've shuffled up, but they're going to do mulligans and whatnot. So we can kind of chat a little bit before they really get going here.
Sure.
I mean, I know you're aware of the format, but I feel like since it's a little weird, it's good to kind of talk about it real quick. and just kind of remind everybody what they're about to witness, right? So
yeah, and
right. So the second round decks include Mirage, I guess, in place of Fallen Empires, right?
Oh yeah, me too.
yeah, essentially.
And every other, old school set plus the EC banned and restricted list, correct?
It's actually the Swedish.
Oh, Swedish. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yep. So this should be a pretty interesting one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Eliot's got
as well.
a bit of and now they're comparing drinks. Jonnie's looks a little bit harder than Eliot's.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
But yeah, Eliot's got a bit of a brewer's reputation with his Players Ball deck from last year that top-aided both the tournament and the most creative with his Living Plane, Pyrotechnics, Prodigal Sorcerer Brew.
Right. Yeah.
And then Jonnie's been on ATC and is pretty known for his decks as well. So this should be very interesting.
Yeah, and don't forget also they technically right here we don't know which of their two decks that they're playing, right? So they're bringing both their round 1 and round 2 decks.
Sure.
So right now they've blind chosen. Their opponent doesn't know which deck their opponent is on, right? So it's kind of an interesting little scenario that they have themselves in at the very beginning, at least.
For sure.
So.
And it looks like they both mulliganed.
Yeah, I see that.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as they're both mulliganing, I think we'll see an interesting game.
First one was a no-lander, and now the second one was a 5-lander.
Another interesting note, just both custom playmats by some very iconic old school artists.
Yeah.
All right.
With Dan Frazier, Ken Meyer Jr.
Yeah. Yeah, and
those are pretty sweet.
They're very specific to some pretty sweet events, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the boat tour, if I am correct, right? The Magic Island tour is the one where, in Sweden where they go on the boat.
Yep, and then the Chalice event.
Yeah,
that you guys hosted back in January.
Yeah, that was the mat that Ken Meyer Jr. custom made for the charity.
That's excellent. All right, so it looks like we're off to a start here. Eliot on the play.
Bazaar.
Forest. Well, I think those two cards actually identify which decks they're on.
Yep, for sure.
Pass back to you.
I want to use the Bazaar.
I definitely love a Bazaar deck.
Go to.
Indeed. Yeah, Reanimator is
let's see.
It's a fun strategy in old school. And it looks like Eliot may have kept a 1-lander, but hit a birds on his draw step.
Yeah, I think he left it on top. It looked like because he played the forest and then drew it for his card for turn.
Throw away Tropical Island, Fast Bond, and All Hallows Eve.
Oh, nice.
So
I take my turn.
3 cards discarded, no creatures.
Yeah. He's got a good number of creatures in there. If I remember, it's something like 10 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
But he's definitely. I like the approach. It's going down the route of not worrying about upkeep costs and just playing the kind of the biggest, dumbest thing you can possibly reanimate with Shallow Grave.
Sure, and there's plenty to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
4 cards.
Yep, but they're good.
Looks like maybe a bit of a stall from Eliot. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
DT.
Pretty good card.
What do you think he goes for?
Oh man. I don't know. I mean, it must just be mana related, right? Because he still hasn't played.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. He's got 4 cards in hand.
Yeah, and it seems kind of sad to get like just a dual land or something with the DT, but sometimes
he's got color selection with the birds, but no.
Maybe it's just ancestral, honestly. He cast it.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're. I guess this is partially due to the mulligans, but their starts seem like maybe not exactly what they're usually looking for.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
Mm-hmm. It's also an interesting matchup too, because I feel like neither of them has a whole lot of removal or way to really interact with what their opponent is doing.
Sure. Yep. So once one of them gets going, it's hard for the other to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's bazaar.
Yep.
Jonnie with a Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
Bazaring up to 5.
Go away.
Going down to 2 here.
This looks really good for Jonnie, right? I mean,
this is hard.
He's got all the mana. He just needs some business.
Yeah.
Underground Sea.
Land, Soul Ring.
Just a bunch of mana.
Wow.
Mystical Tutor.
And Mystical Tutor.
Okay.
And blue, black, some colorless. Unfulfilled Desires.
Unfulfilled Desires. Wow. So this is a Mirage enchantment. It's blue black 2, I believe.
Blue black 1.
Blue black 1. Sorry. And you could pay 1 and 1 colorless, pay a life, and loot essentially.
He's trying to let us read it. Yes, but yeah, you can loot. Yeah.
So he's got 2 floating, so he could essentially loot twice here.
Yeah, looks like that's what he's gonna do.
Yep. More mana.
Draw another card. 2 life. Sorry. Send down to 18.
Yep.
Draw another card and have to discard a Shallow Grave.
Oh, and there it is, Shallow Grave.
I guess the other card in his hand must also be a Shallow Grave.
Sure. But yeah, he is praying for a creature.
Yeah, he also discarded All Hallows Eve earlier, which it must have been like the extra,
Paradise for blue mana and cast
that he kind of assumed. Yeah, okay, there's an ancestral.
So there's his ancestral, yep.
Yeah. It seems like the only reasonable thing at that point, I guess.
Sure.
You could get a land, but probably drawing a land off the ancestral, so.
Bingo.
And I'm going to play another Bird's Paradise.
Oh, nice.
So many mana birds.
And I'll play Fast One.
I like it. I think Fast Bond
is
a sad Fast Bond for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure we'll see a lot of use out of that Fast Bond, unfortunately.
Right.
Pay 1 life, draw a card.
Right.
So Jonnie's going to loot again.
Discard a card. City of Brass.
I really like that card choice of Unfulfilled Desires. It clearly works well in this deck, and also it's an enchantment, which is it's very hard to kill an enchantment in this format, right? So
sure. Yeah, I mean it's fits so many roles for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. City of Brass, Mox, Berserk.
Wow.
Your turn.
Berserk too.
Yeah.
All right.
There's literally not a single.
I think that's a one of in his deck.
Well, my big.
It's a cool one of.
Pretty spicy. Pretty spicy.
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm going to play Mox Emerald.
Yep.
And I'll tap those 2 to regrowth the Ancestral Recall.
Nice.
That's not a bad one.
Myself again.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this is
for sure
spiraling out of control a little.
I will play a Bayou for the turn. Oops. I will tap. Let's see. I'll play Swamp and go to 19.
Okay, all right. I guess it got used. I'm surprised.
And then I will play Underworld Dreams.
Okay.
Oh wow.
That's not good.
Oh wow.
That lines up okay.
This is tough.
And then I'll make another Birds of Paradise.
I said there's not a lot of interaction between them, but that's definitely a bit of interaction.
Sure.
60.
Yeah.
So now he's paying. So now he's taking 2 every time he loots.
Yeah.
With the Unfulfilled Desires.
Or 2 off Bazaar.
Or 2 off Bazaar. Yeah, either way.
Man, he's gone through so many cards so far too. It's surprising he hasn't hit something.
He's activated Bazaar about 4 times, and drawn about 4 off of Desires.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
14.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy.
Punishing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's got to just keep going, right? I mean, there's not really much other choice.
Land.
I mean, Eliot has inevitability now, so yeah, he needs to keep digging.
To discard, and then your turn.
I still haven't really seen the card in his hand, but it's got to just be a Shallow Grave. I mean, yeah, he pitched a Time Walk. It can't be, and he pitched the other Shallow Grave. It's got to just be a Shallow Grave.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now Eliot with all the mana in the world.
Underworld Dreams?
Oh, and Another Dreams.
All right.
Ouch.
Time Twister?
Whoa.
And that's for Xaxes.
Yeah.
Double touchdown.
That's pretty crazy. That's definitely a thing that happens in old school.
So it looks like Jonnie went through about half of his deck without seeing a creature.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, that's on the wrong side of variance, I suppose, but
yeah,
you know.
a little bit.
The deck, how many creatures is like?
Well, that means that Eliot has to play his Mirage deck.
Right.
That one was his Enchantress deck for sure. Didn't see an Enchantress, but
Nope. Didn't see it. Right.
Out of screen, so you don't know which deck I'm playing.
Yeah, neither of them cast their, or I guess Eliot didn't cast his pre-modern cards, and Jonnie didn't cast any of his Mirage cards.
Well, just the Desires, right?
Oh, the Desires, true.
I was actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has
the one central to his strategy, the Shallow Grave.
Yeah,
no targets. That's
pretty afraid of exactly.
That's got to be a rarity.
Yeah. He even pitched
couldn't use it.
A Mystical Tutor.
Mystical,
also, yeah.
Really.
Yep.
Yeah, I recall his deck list, and it's kind of nice because I feel like when you build a Reanimator deck in old school, you kind of it feels clunky because you just have too many. Like you either get like all the guys or you get all of the reanimation spells, you know. And it's really hard to filter that appropriately sometimes. And the Mystical Tutors kind of let you. Sometimes you're drawing the tutors, and you can just turn those into like a piece of power that you might need or something instead, you know, or they're the extra reanimation spell when you need it.
Yeah, I mean, Mystical Tutor is no stranger to reanimation strategies. I think that card was banned in Legacy because of the power of Legacy Reanimator when four Mystical Tutors were legal.
That makes sense.
When it clicked, and I sort of got what
so right. So Eliot is now on his round 2 deck, right, with Mirage. I guess Jonnie still has his choice of what to play.
Yeah, Jonnie can pick whichever one he decides he wants to play. And actually, I think he just a minute ago he put his deck off the screen, so I'm not sure Eliot knows whether he kept the same one or whatnot. So.
Yeah, well, that was one thing I was thinking.
Much like shuffling in all 15 sideboard cards.
Yeah, similar. Yeah.
Reanimator deck just to make sure you get whichever creature, but that's
I was thinking.
Yeah, it's I also liked Eliot's deck too, and you know he mentions that a lot of the reason for him choosing the cards that he decided to play in his Mirage deck was based off of just what cards he owned, and I kind of I like that approach a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's very central to the old school ethos.
Yeah.
Nowadays they design the.
But yeah, I hope we get to see a a millstone come down or whatnot. That's kind of the. In that particular. I guess sort of the. I guess that's the win con.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess.
Sure. Sure. Or maybe perhaps if Jonnie sticks with his deck, maybe a creature this time.
Well, true. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. I mean, what could you possibly do that's good with phasing? I guess you could use Neb Stiff.
Yeah. There's so many cool creatures in Jonnie's deck. I definitely like the choices.
For sure. Yeah. Anytime you can bust out an Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. It's always a struggle to attack with the Nicol Bolas.
Right.
In normal Reanimator old school decks, and
sure.
You don't have to worry about that here. You just do it.
That's right. That's right. And you still get the benefit of blowing up their hand.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like we've actually seen a good number of decks with Bazaar in it in this series, like overall, just in the challenge.
Oh yeah, you're right. You actually didn't have much cards.
And not just as like all in reanimator type things, but in various just kind of role, like playing a role in a deck rather than being a central part of the strategy. But okay, I got an ancestral from Jonnie.
Never a bad start.
Puts me at 8 cards.
He has 8 cards.
So I think I'll have to discard
and oh darn, he's got a discard.
Yeah,
that's great.
So yeah, so there's the Colossus.
Ready?
What he would have given one for last game.
Yeah, really.
Okay. I will play a Tundra and pass.
Draw.
We're gonna see a very quick reanimation happen here.
Could be.
Yeah, this is interesting. Drop.
Attack. Oh, here we go.
Soul Ring.
Okay.
Chaos Orb. And flip on the Tundra.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, he's going for it. Okay.
Target the Soul Ring.
Okay.
Does he have the? Oh wow, McGran-esque.
Yeah.
in that flip.
That's funny.
Well,
It's a good phrase to coin.
Sure.
Okay.
Eliot with another Tundra to replace the one that was destroyed.
Yeah, I feel like so he's clearly back on his reanimator deck, right? And this must be a little bit worse of a matchup. Okay, hey, there we go.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like it must be a little bit of a worse matchup just because there's some counter magic and stuff now from Eliot, right? Whereas he didn't have to worry about anything like that before.
He's just good this turn only, and then he goes away.
Yeah, removed from the game.
Okay. Well, I will be at 11.
No, I will Berserk it.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Wow.
Right.
Every child's dream right there.
Heck yeah, that's great.
All right.
Oh, by the way, what happens here? Because it's destroyed at the end of turn by Berserk and removed.
Yeah, so this is an interesting interaction that they're bringing up here.
Yeah.
So there's 2 delayed triggers, right? One from Shallowgrave and one from Berserk.
Yeah. So Jonnie controls both of them, so he should order them in whichever way he chooses.
Yeah, and also like
right. He should stack the Shallowgrave trigger and then the Berserk trigger, right?
Right.
For the Berserk to destroy it.
Yeah, that way it's still in the yard, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I'm not sure that they quite knew that when it happened, so they just. I think Jonnie maybe is not worried about that. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe he actually has sufficient creatures this game for his strategy, but.
I will.
But I suppose he still made a valid choice.
Play that unfulfilled desires again.
Okay.
Here we go. Desires again. It's got 1 floating.
And you have how many cards?
3 cards.
I'm gonna mana drain it.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds wise.
It's a pretty good card to mana drain now, I would say.
For sure.
All right, so I've got 3 drop. Play Underground Sea.
Yeah, I think Jonnie might really have needed that. I don't know what else was in his hand, but he doesn't have a discard outlet other than that Desires, right?
All right, I will.
Right. And he's got what, 2 or 3 cards in hand?
3 to Brain Geyser myself.
Yeah, it looks like yeah, 2 or 3.
Go ahead.
Eliot with the excellent mana sink for the mana drain mana.
That is good.
Yep. Although I'd like to pay 1 for drawing 3 cards, not necessarily 5.
Yeah.
And I'll pass.
Looks like Jonnie has 2 in hand.
No Mirage cards yet.
Nobody said you had to play Mirage cards.
No, true.
I enjoy the banter.
Yeah, just discussing the corner cases.
Yeah.
How do you skirt the spirit, not necessarily the rules.
Yeah.
discard Palladium Morse.
Oh boy.
Colossal.
Wow.
Okay.
And an island.
Okay.
Then it's your
So
turn.
it was Dragon, and then Colossus, and then basic land.
Yeah.
Um,
So it
he's
looks
got
like now
two
he's
in hand.
short on reanimation spells, unfortunately.
Sure.
Otherwise, I imagine we'd have seen him try something.
Right. And as long as he keeps one card in hand, he's going to see 3 a turn.
Yeah.
So
I'll play Scrubland.
between those and Mystical.
And
A Griffin.
Yeah, Palladium Moors is interesting as a choice.
Yeah.
That's
as well.
the Naya Dragon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In Hartford, I did the draft side event for the Hartford Festival, and Firth Bard put on,
Mhm.
and Andy Baccaro was, I think, 2 seats down from me in my pod, and he had 2 of those in his draft deck,
Wow.
which was very excellent.
That's pretty cool.
Bazaar. Fast Bond. And Moxa.
So this Chaos Orb seems pretty good. It's as an insurance policy.
I will then
Yeah.
try to cast a Time Walk.
sure, Time Walk's good.
Okay.
Yep.
Turn. 1 card in hand. Draw 2.
I mean, you just got to keep bizarring, right? I mean, there's.
Yeah, right. You just because now, I mean, you're forced to have 2, I guess, reanimation spells.
Horrible card.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, you're certainly going to test Elliot's ability to flip a chaos. Orb.
Sure.
Yeah, discard land, and Demonic Tutor.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, discarding a DT.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Since I also found a Shallow Grave. which
Okay.
I cast.
I will memory lapse it.
Oh,
Some Mirage Spice.
Okay. Yeah. There.
Yep.
All right.
nice. I actually always liked Memory Lapse.
That's interesting that he discarded the
It's actually
demonic
not
tutor.
against Bizarre, 'cause
Sure.
You can't really Bizarre next turn.
Oh, so your turn. I'm.
But well,
All right.
he already had the Shallow Grave, right? So
Well, right, but he has an All Hallows Eve. He could have
true.
tutored
True.
instead, which seems way safer, right? You have so many guys. I guess they don't have haste though,
True.
so he'd have to. So he wouldn't
many
get
cards do you-
the dragon because he can't pay for the
Oof.
upkeep cost.
Did have that break
Right.
answer.
And then but there's a Colossus in there. Now I'm forgetting.
Just 1 Colossus and 1 Dragon.
Yeah.
I'll cast Icy Manipulator.
Wow.
Well, that sucks.
So now we're up to three reanimation
All right.
spells,
It-
or
I
3
think
creatures at
that's
least.
down to
Yeah.
All Hallows Eve to-
Boy, this last 2 points of damage is proving to be extremely tough.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I'll cast a Shallow Grave.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like-
I guess it's a Colossi again, right?
can you
Probably
even? I'm not even sure you can cast that, right?
No, wait. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what other choice he has.
I guess. I
Right.
mean,
I'll tap him.
I don't know. Because it's just gonna get exiled now, right?
Your turn.
So
All right. And then
I don't know. Like I feel like I'm not sure how you get out of this.
Right.
Like maybe you just have to
Let's see.
hold all the reanimation spells and play them all in one turn. I don't even
Does my
know.
deck have a win condition? And
This
I'm not
is
sure.
a tough
That's what I'm
spot.
thinking of.
And it was last game, right, that he discarded the All Hallows Eve
Yeah,
Hit the
he
for his first
discarded-
activation, right?
Yeah. So I think it's in his deck.
Guess I'll.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Jonnie.
Yeah. Man, that was such a good start too. 18
I know.
I will
I wonder if the
copy
trigger stacking would have made a difference based
Yeah.
on when he had the Shallow Grave in his hand,
Oh, whether he kept the DT or not.
on your upkeep.
or if he just had it,
Yes.
earlier and could have
Oh.
reanimated that same Colossus next turn, after the Berserk
Yeah. Draw a card.
destroyed it
Right.
instead of exiling it, right?
Yeah. I guess
wonder if that
we
would have
don't-
mattered.
What am I-
Yeah, we don't quite know
So
what was in his
it's
hand
like
at that
Sure.
time.
Casting
Yeah.
3 dragons.
And, yeah, a second Icy, I'm not even sure.
Upkeep for them.
Of the 2-mana variety.
I have outs.
Yeah.
It's no problem. I'll keep the card in hand. And
I mean, why pay 4 when you can pay half that?
That's true.
All right, make that tapping easier.
Just for convenience.
And
Sure.
I'll pass.
Yeah, upkeep shenanigans.
Yeah, let's tap him again.
Yeah.
Eliot keeping Jonnie off of black mana
Yeah.
seems wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point now the only way out is many creatures at once off of All Hallows Eve, but I'm not sure how many creatures you can get into play and keep through the upkeep.
Right, and the only one he has is the dragon, right? In his yard now, because the other Colossus was exiled.
Right, well, he's playing 4 Colossus, right? So he has 2 more Colossus, and that's a Nicol Bolas.
Make another icy
on top,
which he cannot pay yet.
Now there's another icy. Whew.
Wow.
And I'll pass, and then I'll tap both
3, 4.
Underground Seas.
So he needs 5 of the 7 or the 8 remaining creatures in his deck.
Yeah.
One of them he can't pay for.
Yeah.
He might just be locked out.
I mean, the other, I mean, well, he can't pay for either dragon right now, right? I think it's possible for him to pay in his deck to pay for
it is,
Nicol, but
I think he's discarded at least 2 Cities of Brass so far.
Okay.
At least the Chaos Orb. Found the Shallow Grave.
Interesting.
That'll work.
Yeah, I guess it's the Nicol Bolas.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. You can let him pass. It's okay. He'll behave.
You know, I'm gonna hold on to the Chaos Orb. I'll just swords him.
All right.
That actually takes him out
Wow.
of my graveyard, which
Damn.
is actually worth. But yeah, I get 7.
Yeah,
I thought we were at least gonna have to test Elliot's.
Sure.
Elliot's
that might be my plan.
Yeah, your turn.
27 now. Wow.
Yeah.
I also appreciate that Johnny's using actual beads to keep his life.
Yeah.
That is most excellent.
Yeah, I still have well, I'm missing like a bunch of the beads, obviously, but I still have like the one that came in whatever 4th edition starter box, like the one that looked like a big magic card, you know?
Like the gift box?
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
So it came with the beads and then the little bag.
Yep.
The
little magic logo has mostly worn off at this point. But
sure.
I'm guessing you are interested in the count as well. So
you weren't a fan of the Crown Royal dice bag?
Well, I don't tend to use a ton of dice anyway. I usually just keep them in my pocket, whatever ones I need.
Yeah, you should.
Boy. Right. And now Eliot with the full set of ices.
And then I'll pass.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I'll draw for turn.
Keeping Johnny off all of his colored mana.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure
I'll pass.
where this goes.
Yeah, I mean,
it
almost looks elementary at this point.
Yeah, Eliot just needs a good win condition, right?
Yep.
And unless there's something we're missing about Johnny's deck, I don't have the deck list up in front of me right now, so
right.
There may be something, but
so even if he does find his All Hallows Eve, and even if he is allowed
to cast it,
black mana during his main phase, right?
Yeah.
Then he's got to wait 2 turns.
Yeah.
For the scream counters to come off.
Right.
Then he's got to figure out a way to pay for multiple Elder Dragon upkeep costs.
Yeah.
And then he's got to find a way to circumnavigate 4 Icy Manipulators and a Chaos Orb, plus perhaps some number of Swords to Plowshares,
Right.
and sitting in Eliot's hand. Wow.
Icy's a pretty good magic card.
Yep.
Diamond Valley.
Yep.
Go. And
discarding a Diamond Valley. Yep, that's.
Oh, this is really hard, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, Mystical Tutor and City of Brass.
Okay.
So 3 cards left. Your turn.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's also awkward because in order to pay for the dragons, you got to play a city, and then it means he gets to kill you with your city.
Correct. Right.
And then I'll cast Guardian Beast.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. What do you do?
Well, I suppose 14 turns?
I mean,
It would take.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and chaos orb your Bazaar back.
Okay.
Here we go.
You should just
Oh yeah. Now this is just.
Guardian Beast here as a target.
Sure.
He's not actually tapped. Just
not actually.
Oh,
tapped.
yeah,
it looks tapped to me.
Been a mistake.
All right.
Very nice.
That's it.
Elliot also adept at the flipping.
Yeah.
And I'll pass and tap down your other lands.
Yep.
Well,
I'll draw a card.
Yeah, I guess we get to witness this poor, excruciating torture.
Yep.
Let me search my.
I guess that's how some Magic games turn out.
Of course. I played Stasis in the most recent NEOS monthly tournament, so I've been on the other side of that.
Sure.
Or on the right side and the wrong side, I should say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's plenty of people who enjoy that style of Magic, and there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to imagine that saying the phrase "during your upkeep, I'll activate 4 icy manipulators" is on some sort of Magic bucket list.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that.
Yep.
You got to.
Oh, nice.
I can't afford
That's
to
a play a card.
So.
Yep.
I'll pass the turn.
Okay.
I was actually just thinking about how Guardian Beast is sort of flavorful given the playmat and
of course,
and Elliot's location.
Sure. Wow, dead center.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and correctly takes out the Soul Ring.
I will cast my Millstone.
Oh, there it is. That's a much better win con.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
And Johnny's done half the work for him.
That's right. Yeah.
Everything but the buy.
I mean, I guess that.
Okay.
I didn't really ask Eliot this question at all, but I wonder how much of his deck building for this kind of went into what he thinks maybe Jonnie might play.
So,
sure.
I'm not sure if you put Jonnie on Reanimator though, because Millstone just seems really good against this strategy, sort of, right? Because your opponent's kind of doing the work for you, so if you can control the rest of it, then
draw 2 cards.
right with like icy or whatever, like is happening before our eyes, maybe. But yeah, I don't know if he had enough information to have forethought on that. Yeah, if that makes sense.
I mean, he could have the absolute soul read, but
yeah.
But I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I think this is just accidental.
Recall, Mystical Tutor, and
an accidental nice lineup of decks for Elliot.
Your turn.
Sure.
I'll mill you at the end of your turn.
Oh yes, we have Lord of the Pits and Mystical Tutor.
All right.
So Lord of the Pit kind of works, right?
I'll go ahead and draw.
Yeah, sure.
For reanimating, I think. Because you can sack one of the other dragons, right?
Sure.
Right.
Yep. That's one less upkeep you have to pay.
Yeah.
I'll flip cast orb on the Bazaar.
Yes.
And shallow graving it obviously also skirts the upkeep detriment.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter now because there's so many icy manipulators.
Right.
I guess we're kind of past that thought at this point.
Tap, sleep up the trunk.
Yep. Draw a card. That's interesting. I do have a lot of lives, so I'll play a City of Brass.
Okay. He just does it.
There's a way.
Yep.
Yep. Your turn.
Attack with Guardian Beast too.
I mean, I don't know how many cards he's got in his library, but I imagine Millstone's still faster.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's got to be less than 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have Colossi and Bio.
Okay.
And you actually keep destroying my bazaars, like keep me out of killing myself.
Well, yeah, but
I kind of want Johnny to cast his last shallow grave, but Elliot mill him to get a different creature than he was hoping for.
That's right. It's the top creature card.
Right, exactly.
I'll Chaos Orb the Bayou.
Yeah.
And he's
very good. He's good. He's good with that orb.
Yeah.
And,
I'm a little bit fascinated myself with the different styles of orb flips that people have.
Sure.
And it looks like Eliot's is quite similar to mine, which is just a very slight flick of the wrist lined up. But I never understood people, like holding it in their hand and like hitting it with a finger or dropping it on a finger, or using two hands to flip it. But to each their own. Everybody's got a different golf swing.
Yeah.
So do what works for you, but just the different ways to flip orbs could be a podcast unto itself.
A published work of its own.
Very, very good. Yep.
Actually, there's a beast, Cliff. He actually flips it like a coin.
That's not it.
Really?
Every time. He's very good at it. Yeah. It's quite impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
Fast bond and another nickel ball.
We 2 years ago in Providence, we had a Chaos Orb trick shot competition. And Nick Batista from the Felwar Stoners down in DC flipped it from his head onto the target.
Nice.
Like he put it on top of his head, flicked it from back here, and hit the target.
Wow.
And the winner was Scott Bradley, who sat under the table, flipped it backwards, and it went over the card, had a little bit of English on it, came back and landed on the target. So it was like a no-look under the table, backspin, hit.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
That's impressive. I wish I had seen that. That's pretty amazing.
Well, so I was videoing it, and literally the second he started, I got a phone call.
Oh no.
So the video just cut out, and I was livid. It was awful. But DFB was there and saw it in person and can tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I believe you. Yeah. I just watched Eliot or just watched Jonnie take a drink. It's probably a good time for one.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gone back to that a little more.
Yeah.
During this game.
All right. Now I've got 7 cards. I'll draw a library.
Well, while we're kind of watching this, what are your thoughts on the format in general?
I still have 6 cards.
On the Mirage format?
Yeah, either one so far.
Yeah, I really enjoy the pre-modern aspect of taking one card and sort of inserting it as you will. I think there's a lot of more interesting viable strategies. It was interesting to see several people gravitate towards maybe not only the same pre-modern card, but recognizing what old school cards got stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a lot of fast bonds in the first round, I feel.
Yeah.
And obviously it's an enchantment, hard to deal with, and a couple people played Enchantress, like Eliot here. But it was very interesting to see the directions people took and their reasoning behind them.
Yeah.
And then for the Mirage format, I was brewing a little bit myself when that was announced, and was sad that, and I think Jonnie may have mentioned this earlier, that phasing does not trigger enter the battlefield effects anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was all about Shimmer and brewing like with Ankh and Armageddon and all that kind of fun stuff, but
nice.
Alas. That does not quite work how I want it to.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of cool Mirage cards to brew around. I mean, certainly the tutors are, pretty prominent and sort of an obvious place to go. But like Unfulfilled Desires in a Reanimator deck, fantastic addition. Fills a lot of different roles, and it looks like Eliot's just
well done.
Either finally milled him out or forced him to scoop.
He has the all halls.
Yeah, and he does, but the quad icy.
I was holding memory lapse.
Oh, you just memory lapse it too. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. I think
very nice.
At that point, yeah.
Right.
Because of that combination.
Sure.
I really like that.
But
Yeah.
So
I mean, the problem is.
Yeah. So Eliot takes it.
Sure.
Yeah, Eliot takes it in 2 games.
2 or 3.
Well, the way that the actual winner for the round is determined is not just through this match of games here. So
correct.
Yeah. So voting, you get some extra points for winning here, but that's kind of where we are, and we'll see how the voting turns out.
Right.
So.
Should be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And,
for sure.
Yeah. Maybe we can have you on again another time.
Yeah. Can't wait for the next one.